Welcome to all of you. Thanks for being here despite the rains today. And we are here listening to the stories of the untold stories of PBP actually. Few stories we've heard touch and go when we've met now and then. So there are various kinds of riders here. Few of us are coffee riders mostly, most of the times. Then there are few of them who go an extra mile, who wake up early and do a 50. And then few of them who do SRs. So what after SR? So PBP is a new challenge. So doing breves here is different, and you're doing it in a foreign land. So about how you pack up and go, what are the nutrition that they care that they took, and how was it to do in a different land is an experience that we all want to hear. So we have 7 of us from Velokofi who attempted to do PBP. So we will start first with Pili. So, because you were here, so you were standing first.
Hey, what is
So,
Hey, this guys can't go by Zappa time. 3 minutes per person.
I'll take less than 3 minutes. Thank you.
so you please tell us, we know that you had to stop in between. So why was it a challenge to go forward, and to come back as well was a challenge for us?
Guys, PBP for me, a lot of people started asking me, how are you feeling? Did you feel bad? In fact, my wife did not even have the courage to ask me how am I doing when I quit the ride, because she was really worried that I'll be depressed, I will not be in a good state of mind. Honestly, after experiencing that 400 kilometers at PBP, trust me, I have no regrets, no hard feelings. The 400 kilometers was fantastic. For me, what was big, I think most of you would have read, one short article or some snippet that I had written. I called it reflections. For me, it was important to be at the start line. I think, to me, that is important, right? Am I going to be at the start line in 2027? I think the answer is yes. So a lot of takeaways for me, right? Number 1, as I said, be at the start line. 2, keep the ride very simple. A lot of people started talking about food becoming a problem here. No, none of that is a problem. You just have to start the ride. Everything will get sorted out. Right? So, and the third one is also start riding alone with some targets in mind. Saying I'm going to do like 100 in 5 hours. Speed matters, right? Coffee rides are great. Speed also matters. So just put in effort. If you really want to look at some big rides in the future, right? Do those big rides with certain time, targets in mind. 100 in 5 hours, 200 in 11 hours, or whatever, right? Have a plan and go there, right? You just need to have a plan in mind and go there. So for me, overall, it was a fantastic experience. As I said, 2027, I'm going to go back again, hopefully, right? Again, I don't know whether I'll be able to finish it or not. Important thing is to be at the start line. I think I'll stop there. Any specific questions? Happy to answer.
So how was it a challenge to ride back to the start?
No, I didn't ride back. That's another funny thing. I was telling this to someone. See, whenever I travel to a new place, there are 3 things that I want to do. Right? I want to experience the local food, local transport, and the local market. Right? During those practice rides at Paris, we experienced that local food. Out of the, we did not even know that there was a market. We just took a deviation and there was a huge flea market, and we enjoyed that food there. Sunil was there, Sudhu was there, and Santosh was also there that day. So we had enjoyed that local food. Then we had done a little bit of roaming around, so we had seen that local market, food and all that. Local transport, we had not done that so much. But when I quit the ride, that was the only option for me to get back to Paris was by train. So I got to experience that local transport as well. It was a little challenging because from the point where I quit to Paris, it was 400 plus kilometers. So first I had to take a bus. First I had to buy a bag to pack my bike. I packed my bike and I had to carry that bike with me all along. So from that point I had to go to another place to catch a train by bus. That was a 1.5 hour bus. Then we took a train, got back to Paris. From Paris to the place where we were living, that was another train. So I thoroughly enjoyed that local transport as well. So it was all fun.
So you dismantled the cycle and
Yeah, just wheels and that's it. So it was nice. I had some company. There was another guy by name Chakra from Coimbatore who also decided to quit at the same point where I had quit. And he quit for a much more simpler reason. He overslept. I motivated him to quit. He wanted to sleep for he wanted to sleep for 30 minutes. He slept for 4 hours.
Okay.
Then he woke up. He said, "See you." I said, "Boss, why are you going? Anyway, you slept for 4 hours. You're not going to finish it on time. Come, let's go back to Paris." So he said, "Yes, let's go back," and he came along with me. So it was fun, and the journey back to Paris was also fine because people who met Chakra will know. The entire distance he didn't stop talking at all. He kept talking throughout.
sense.
Huh? Yeah, sense, nonsense, whatever. But it was fun, a good company to have.
He's a senior rider also.
Yeah, he's a very good rider.
Madurai ran in this, right?
No, Coimbatore. He's a senior rider, a nice person to talk to. He can have conversations on variety of topics, so the journey was not boring at all.
Oh yeah.
And then later in the day, I caught up with Sai for a glass of wine. So it was all fine. We were supposed to ride for 4 days. We rode for 1.5 days. We enjoyed the other 2.5 days in Paris. It was all fun.
Talk about the volunteer support here. Volunteer support. What was like?
Support there at Paris. I will not be able to do any justice by trying to explain their hospitality, their volunteering and all that. It's something that you have to experience. That's why I said be at the start line just to experience that. You'll be riding, there'll be these small school-going kids. They'll stop and they'll start cheering you. And you experience that for 1,200 kilometers when you're riding. They give you water, coffee, everything at like 2 a.m. Throughout that 1,200 kilometers, it'll be fantastic. It's a great experience. And the French, they respect cyclists. If you're a cyclist, the way they treat you is completely different, especially during that PBP time. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there. Any other questions? Save it for the other riders. There are 6 more.
It was actually not as rigorous as we had done for LEL for various reasons. But I was looking forward to riding for whatever reasons I could not. But the 3 days we were there, 17th, 18th and 19th, we thoroughly enjoyed, as VP said, small rides to the markets, one to Paris, to the Eiffel Tower and everything, and the food. I think we had a bagel place where we were frequenting almost all the 3 days. Good bagel at that experience. But even when we went to Rambouillet to pick up our jerseys and badge and everything, the way it is organized and the energy that is there is something amazing. I mean, LEL was a different thing, but this is a completely different experience. That's what I was telling Baru, Sandhya and all. Whether you ride or not, even if you want to volunteer, I think these two events are something which gives you a lot of experience. So even for fun, I mean, I think you guys should, whenever possible, participate in one of these. It's going to be an awesome experience, meeting different riders and yourself, I mean, enjoying the place itself. It's a festival. I was seeing some of the videos and, it's awesome. And yeah, so thanks to VP, Sudhu, Sai, Kirti, Sunil and all, the bike was packed probably in less than 10 minutes. Food, I think, is one which, compared to LEL, we were much more prepared this time with the food. LEL, a lot of us suffered because of the food. But this time I think half of MTR supplies was with our riders in PBP.
MTR and
Adkole. MTR and Adkole, which half of it we had finished in the first 3 days, I think. So great experience. I am looking forward to participating in 27 and 25 as well. LEL, whoever is planning, please. It's a great experience just to even go and be a part of that event. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you so much.
Hey, sir, one question is there.
A lot of stories for us, told, untold.
I would say just keep Sai to the last because he's got a lot of stories and keep it. Now that she has already spelled out, it's not going to go back. In short. All busy stories. See, I'm looking at my skin. It's far too thick-skinned. So the moment I returned from Paris, I made a couple of calls. One to Barry and Bharat Prakash, because I wanted to pick his brains where things are going wrong. Then he advised and I followed a few things, whatever he is telling. So I had taken the trainer from Kirti, and then in July I returned it. I said I don't need it. So I had to make the painful decision to make a call to her and say, can you lend it to me? She said, yeah, I will. So I took it. And then I made the ultimate call to Mohan, saying that am I eligible for GOH? After making all these three, I realized that I am worse than a crocodile skin. There is no shame in me at all. So he said, you are ready because you did that 1000 in December. I said, okay, then if you are accommodating so ancient ride, then I am okay with it. But having said that, as far as PBP is concerned, it's, I mean, both of Santosh and VP have spoken, others also have spoken. The kind of support that we got from the volunteers, and some of them are literally have moved. So I think of course I'll be 58, but I'll go back. But 25 is nearer, so that is confirmed. But I'm on the way from returning from Tintignac, because I rode back from Carrex. There is a Halgot or some place. I was riding back from Tintignac. I stopped. So I saw a couple of riders. So one of the lady who was helping us to pack it in the Jeep, she said, sir, can you take care of them in Paris? Because they were 70 plus, one was 79. Then when he got down at Paris station, I was trying to help them out. They were not able to lift. Then I looked at the calf muscles, as if somebody has carved them out. And one guy, 79, that was his third PBP. Wow. 2 he has done it. This time he stopped it around 750 range. So then I said, I asked him, do you want me to support you, because you look stronger than me. So but anyway, we supported it. So yeah, those kind of people have motivated me to make that call to Mohan and Barry and others. And I also, but Vipin, there's no need of, because there are people who are expecting him to complete before 80 hours. There are people who have called me and said that I know 83 hours is an underperformance from me. So he has to do some introspection why he is But what Sunil, Sudhu and Kirti have done really stand out. Really appreciate them, because Sunil it's not easy for him. There were a lot of other situations that he had to go through. Then he also helped somebody and got himself. And Sudhu I've seen in LEL, the bugger is like a chewing gum. He keeps on leave 97 hours, 98 hours. But Kirti also really stands out what she has done in that kind of situation. I'm aware of some of the medical situations she was going through. To go through so much pain and complete that is incredible. So what better motivation than these 4? Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so for me, PBP, the first time I heard about PBP was even before I got to know about something like SR. So it was mine and VP's first brevet. So we met another PBP rider by the name Venkat. So that's when I heard about it, and I was like, who would do such a thing? I mean, go all the way to Paris for cycling. And I was like, okay, let them do whatever they want to. But anyway, 4 years, 3 years down the line, even I was there in what was that? Rambole. The start point. So the preparation for PBP, actually, I mean, all these 3 years it was happening. So there were so many rides planned, and then there were so many groups formed, and in all these groups there were so many discussions happening. and I could not keep a track of like which one to follow. So I had to make up my mind to pick one, and eventually I ended up muting all the groups, and I thought that's the best way. And I mean, of course, I took a few key pointers from people who had already finished it earlier. So I took that into my plan, and then I was trying to train and all that. But then the few months leading to the PBP, I mean, due to some personal reasons at work and all those, I couldn't really stick on to the plan, and I had some benchmarks, like, I mean, I need to do 100 in this many hours, 200 in this many hours, 600 in this many hours. I couldn't stick to any of that. But then at least had finished couple of rides before 1000 plus, so kind of had that confidence that I can still do it. But then I didn't want to be overconfident and target some crazy timings or anything. So my plan was very simple, get to the 600 point as soon as possible, because that is something which I'm very confident doing. Like I've done it at least 7-8 times before, so that much I knew. So get to Brest as soon as possible, make as much buffer time as possible. So I only planned for that. So my nutrition, everything, I mean my bike was, I think, probably the lightest. So I had just the bare minimum things. I had one spare jacket, my puncher kit, and some nutrition packets with me. Nothing else, and a power bank. That's all. So my target was like to reach Brest by around 30 hours. I took 2 hours extra. So in 32 I reached Brest, and then so it's the same way back, and I have almost twice the time to come back. So it is either like kill myself trying to get some good timing, or at least enjoy the ride. And while on the way, while going itself, I had noticed all that, like Santosh and Sai and all were mentioning. I mean, the hospitality was amazing. They had put up all the small stalls everywhere, and while going, I was looking at them, and then I was like, should I stop to eat? I will lose time. But then while coming back, I have all the time, so no problem. So I was stopping at pretty much every other place. And thanks to Sai for referring that space blanket. So that really helped because even in the cold, I mean, it was like as good as sleeping in my own bed. So I was like, I mean, every nice place, and it's like, it's so well maintained. I mean, the grounds and all this grasslands there. So it's like pretty much feels like a proper bed. So anywhere you find a nice spot, just lay down that blanket, roll yourself up in that, and then aram se sleep. So while coming back, I think I slept for more than 14 hours. So I was like totally fresh. Even at the finish, I was not like falling off anywhere. I could aram se walk around myself, take my food, eat, sit there, talk to people and all that. So basically some lessons learned was like, especially when it comes to the preparation part, there is no one size fits all plan for everyone. You have to figure it out yourself. So anybody, like VP was saying, just to add on to that, if anybody is planning for such a longer ride, let it be 1200 or 600 or 400, whatever it is, you need to experiment a few things on yourself first. You start with 100, see how it goes, you eat certain things, you drink certain things, you sleep, you focus on speed, or you focus on brakes. All these things, you have to figure it out yourself. I mean, of course, you can take tips from others, but then end of the day, what you figure it out and what you plan for yourself, that's the only thing that's going to work. So that was my biggest lesson. Now, plans next, LEL, PBP, I don't know. I don't know.
He gets a wildcard entry, man. Don't worry. He will get a wildcard entry.
Have you registered?
No. I haven't registered for anything. I only want to do 1600. That will complete another ESA for me this year. So I'm still thinking about it. I haven't registered yet. Yeah, Mysore, Pondicherry. That also looks like an interesting route. So that's one thing which I have half mind on. Rest nothing else. So I mean, I also want to take a little bit break, because again, all these longer rides, it's not like so healthy, I would say, because we talk about fitness, but these things, they really take a toll on the body. So I think, I mean, in a week's time, you will be fine. Like the soreness is gone, you will be okay. But I don't think really you have recovered. So it takes a longer time than that, and we are not growing younger, right? We are all growing older, so that also adds upon to that. So keeping all these things together, I also want to take a small break. I mean, not away from cycling, but these crazy rides. So do smaller rides as I was doing in the beginning, and try to get back to that form. that would be my first aim now. PBP, LEL and all, let's see. Anyway, Sai is there to motivate us all.
Italia before that.
Please.
North Cape next.
Already
North Cape, 4,000.
So
4,000.
1,600 kilometers.
there are many things. Don't add to the list. Already there are 2.
You have Raghureddy also for North Cape.
Anyway, so that's my experience.
How was the weather?
Weather, actually, I mean, this was my first PBP attempt, so for me, the days was like pretty much as it is here, like it was 34, 35. It was little, I mean, sunny. I think the second day especially it was sunny, but at least we were feeling at home, so we were kind of okay. Nights, especially the second night when we were closing Brest, so I was covering that stretch in the middle of the night around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, so it's a long climb to Brest. And higher you go, it's like pretty open and there's heavy winds. With the cold temperature, it was like, I mean, the temperature I think was somewhere around 10 degrees or something. But with the wind, it was like really, like, I mean, it was pricking into your bones. So that second night I think was really cold. Other than that, it was kind of okay. And rain, I think some others did get some rain, but I had just like 5 minutes of drizzle, I think. That was during the third day. So during the day it was actually refreshing. So I kind of enjoyed it, but lasted for just 5 minutes max. So that way, all put together, I think weather was fine, except the second night a little bit of cold. But for that also we were prepared actually with all the warmers and everything. The only problem then was like before you stop, decide to decide to stop for a small break, you have to think twice. Because each time you stop and then getting back on the saddle is a real pain. Because you cool down like just in a minute. So that is a difficult one. But other than that, 80% of the ride I would say the weather was fine.
How was your experience between LEL and PBP?
No, I didn't do it. It was my first foreign ride. So I have no comparison, so this is really good. So I think others already mentioned, I mean, even at the start point and through the ride, so like, I mean, I've always been watching the Tour de France events where like people are standing on the road and cheering and riders are like the stars. This is the first time I got to feel the other side of it. So like we were riding at least in the first 200-300 kilometers, I was trying to ride in some peloton. So we were maintaining some good average speeds like above 30. So like every junction we come into, so it's like a peloton coming and there are people standing all around clapping. I mean, that's a really thrilling experience. So even if you're a bit tired with all that, your josh is again up.
True.
So that, and the hospitality of the people, like the love they have for the sport and even for the sports people. So there is no discrimination between like white, black, no race, nothing. So even you go to like, so I was saying about the small stalls where they give some home baked food and all that. So when you go, if you sit there, they just come and they'll ask you like, do you want a massage? And even old people, you actually feel a bit, hesitant to ask them, but they have absolutely no any of those thoughts. So even like a couple of places where I was sitting on a chair and I was trying to stretch, they'll come, they'll help me stretch, massage. I mean, we will feel awkward, but they are asked to do that. So that way the hospitality is amazing, and that's one reason probably I might want to go back again.
Massage.
Yeah, how do you manage?
You got some special massages.
Sitting on the saddle, how do you manage it?
Okay, good question. Actually, I was using that Infinity saddle, so that was with the plan of, I mean, the feedback that it helps for longer rides and all that. But even, I mean, my personal experience, even with that saddle, beyond a certain distance, nothing works. I mean, the other saddle, if it helps for 200 kilometers, this one may be like for 400 kilometers. But beyond that, your ass will be on fire. So, I mean, one thing I think that the weather kind of helps because it keeps it cold a bit. And the trick I think is like to try keep moving on the saddle, like try a bit of few different positions, sit a little front, sit a little behind, and then go off saddle. And for me, at least while returning, because I took a lot of breaks in between, so I wasn't riding for like more than 2 hours in a stretch. So that was my maximum distance. So every like 1.5 to 2 hours, I used to take a break, at least 5-10 minutes break. So that way, I think my ass was getting enough breathing time in between. So surprisingly, even after the ride, I did not have usual. Like even here, whatever I used to have after 600 also, I mean that kind of impact wasn't there. So it was rather fine. So I think taking breaks is the key. So breaks in the sense you don't have to really stop. You can go off the saddle, change positions, so that way you can manage.
Look at the elevation, what you experienced there. Which one you compare very close to that in India, wherever you experienced?
Our longer rides, I think nothing, because here most of our longer rides, like let it be Twin Hills or Coorg or even the 1200s, 1000s and all that, we have longer climbs. So it's like 20 kilometers climb or 15 kilometers, 1 or 2 such climb, and then it is pretty much flat or rolling. Here that wasn't the case. So only, I mean, the longest climb I think was the one towards Brest, Near and Paris-Brest, and that also was less than 10 kilometers. It was hardly like 7 kilometers. The rest
it's
all
all
were
rolling.
like rolling, but very punchy climbs. So it's like hardly a kilometer, but 9 degrees, 10 degrees. So the good part was like, at least for me personally, I like that. So instead of, I'm not a good climber, so smaller climbs are fine with me. So that way I actually felt that better compared to, like for example, GOH. I mean, that was what I was telling Mohan also. So when I finished GOH, though I was physically in a much better shape and prepared for GOH, when I finished here, I could hardly stand. And I was like reeling and hallucinating. Somebody took my bike, somebody took me home. But here I was like in a much better situation. So I was like actually fine. And the time taken to complete both the rides were pretty much the same. So from a difficulty point of view, I think PBP was much easier compared to GOH.
So if you do a GOH, you can feel that you will complete it.
Sorry.
If you do a GOH, it's most probably you can
If
complete
you do GOH in let's say 90 hours, exact 90 hours, I would say PBP you can finish probably in 80 or less than 85. So that's how I would compare. That was our last GOH, but the actual GOH I think is a bit more tougher than the last
elevation,
GOH.
but routes are different.
Routes are different. And I think one best part about PBP were the road conditions. So the roads were like, I mean, out of 1,220 kilometers, I think maybe 5 kilometers probably had some patchy surface, and patchy in the sense not like our potholes, it's mostly those cobbled surface when you enter some towns. Other than that, it's all like not butter smooth but smooth roads, and that actually makes a big difference. So one, you can maintain your speed, you don't have to really, even on distance you don't have to slow down, you can actually carry the momentum, and then the overall fatigue it causes is like, it's very less. So you're on good roads. So here I think comparatively that is one thing which actually breaks the ride, because with all those potholes and everything, the fatigue is too much, and I think that also makes an effect on your ass. So this also actually helps.
So speaking of the same, how did you manage the saddle sore?
So like I said, for the first 600 kilometers, I mean I was using those, I really use those butters, chamois butter. So I was applying it very lavishly, and at 400 kilometers we had the control point with the drawback axis. So at that point I changed my shocks and everything. So that was kind of refreshing. I mean, it's like a new thing. And then after 600, like I was saying, I was taking a lot of breaks. So actually, I think again it was just an experiment. I think because of that, I did not have saddle sores this time.
Fantastic.
Just some rashes, of course. I mean, you're sitting on a thin saddle for such a long time, so there were some rashes, of course, but no sores.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I think that helped.
Great.
Good, thanks, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks everyone for rainy Sunday morning. I would add some more things from a prep.
as Vipin said, there is a lot of groups that were formed, and we had some senior riders who had their own experiences, whom we heard and we had read about their experiences in the blog. However, there is too much of information bombardment because you are in a group where people will ask too many questions, first timers, all sorts of questions, right? Right from saddle soreness to what kind of food to eat, can I digest bucket or whatever. There's too much of information, but you have to pick and choose, as Vipin said. Pick what works for you. To know that, you'll have to ride few long distance rides. 600 we all do, but going beyond that is also important because 651 kilometers, your body reacts differently than what you do at 600. So my suggestion is that if you experience that, you would prepare better for such long distances, like say any 1000, be it PBP, LEL, or even here if you are doing GOH or Chalukyas or any other kind of 1200 rides. Give an attempt, try to ride that long distance either leisurely or as part of event. You know how your body reacts to that kind of thing. Then you'll know you really enjoy riding that long distance or you want to give up. Say if your body will tell you very clearly that it gives very big signs saying that either you're enjoying or you're not enjoying. So then you can decide, okay, do I want to continue my passion to ride long distances? Am I really enjoying it? If you're not enjoying, believe me, you'll not enjoy the ride or not complete the ride in time or even late finish, right? So that is very important. You want to enjoy the ride as well as be comfortable throughout the ride. That is one thing. So if you're riding long distances, your body knows better on what sort of preparations are required. So based on that, your expenses also matter, right? What kind of shorts you want to get, padded shorts, and for cold, then you want to have long pant kind of things, so that you can protect you from cold. What kind of blouses you need, holding the bike for 1200 kilometers, it also have an impact. First time I have some numbness in my hand after riding so many rides, but it's still, every ride is different and you get different kinds of pain. What kind of shoes you wear, you wear cleats, you have different challenges. You have regular shoes for long distance, right? After 800, 900, you start feeling different. Your legs start behaving differently. The kind of numbness you get, it is also different. So again there, if you invest once, like say we invested during LEL, so our expenses was much lesser this time. So it all depends on what you want to buy, what you want to use. And again, airline and hotels are standard. So when you book, depends on that and some variants. I would say $1.5 lakh would help you, 1.5 lakhs would be good enough if you want to manage with the kind of stuff you have, if you have purchased few things. But if you are investing on some rain jacket and other things first time, you can keep an estimate of around 2 lakhs so that you can, some of these rain jackets are like 40,000, 35,000. That's the biggest price amount. Otherwise, others are all like affordable, and then it's a long-term investment. As if you want to continue riding, then it's worth investing for some good accessories because it helps you. I mean, what we felt during LEL was like one of the places it was too cold. This time we were lucky. I would say the weather was very pleasant. Night I didn't feel the need of wearing a jacket, but we were able to ride with the inner layer itself. But in LEL, the temperature dropped to 5 degrees. But when we were in Scotland, and then the breeze, right, it made us feel like minus Celsius. Then it was like too tough to ride, and the wind was seeping through the shoes, and we could feel that chillness, and we were very tough to ride at that conditions. So what we had observed was the other riders ride fast and they sleep at that time. Right, in the night 1 to 4, they don't ride. All the foreign riders, they take a nap at that time and then keep riding. So that is where we invested, like bringing some nice socks, which could help us both in hot and the wool that would help us for hot and cold conditions, and rain socks if it rains. That is one more thing. Luckily it didn't rain. Last day it rained, but we were 40 kilometers or 30 kilometers. At the end point we enjoyed the rain and finished it. That's around preparations. As I said, no matter how much you are prepared, execution is important when it comes to the ride. I would say going to PBP or even landing in Paris, it's like you're entering the matrix of cycling world, right? You see only things about cycle, you hear only things about cycle. Whomsoever you see, they're talking about cycle. You are in a hotel, the next person sitting you is a rider along with you. He is some alphabet, but he is also a rider. It's like that matrix world of cycling, and it's a different experience altogether. As all of them said, you have to be there to experience, either in form of cyclist or in volunteer or accompanying them to see that experience. You see riders of all ages participating more than once, twice, thrice. We met one rider who was participating 6th time, and they said, we are just enjoying, we want to be part of this event, enjoy the hospitality, enjoy our own company of riders, riding in a group and enjoying their own company. So it depends, what target you want to have and then what you want to accomplish in that ride. So you can plan your ride accordingly and then start riding. So ride was good for me. Started well, had my own plans to finish within time. That was a target. So 38 hours or 39 hours I was in Brest. And then the return ride, we had some climbs there. And then again, the hospitality was so good that we didn't want to miss that. I in fact stopped at most of the places. Like that was my rest point. I planned my rest to see that, okay, I'll stop at a point where there is some food for me or some place where somebody is offering water or a cool drink. I used to plan accordingly and rest there. And then enjoy the ride thoroughly, because I met many Japanese riders who are riding. They are the largest contingent out of France, other than France, and India, like we were matching them. So met many of them, we were talking together and riding. You met a lot of people, as I said. There was one rider who had put an X-ray saying that he had a broken leg somewhere in Jan. And he said, he written a note saying that when I can do, why not you? So these things keep inspiring you, in whatever situation you are. You think I'm in a worse situation, but you see people more in a different situation, and that inspires you, right? That's what I would say. I mean, being there at the start line, as Vicky said, is very important. The moment you enter that matrix world of cycling, right, it inspires you significantly. I was also hesitant because of the surgery that I had. With the less preparation I had, I thought I would make an attempt to see how much I can ride. But thankfully, I was able to complete the ride. Again, taking inspiration from all the riders who are there and all the well wishes from the team here as well. Yeah, one small mistake, as I said, execution to the T is very important. Every time I used to say, everybody, whenever you sleep, don't miss to keep the alarm. Don't forget it. And I missed the alarm this time. It was a small mistake, but it costed me. But nevertheless, I was happy that I finished in 91 hours and 42 minutes. Not too far, not too close, but it happened. So execution is again very important. Even if you think, in the last day, last hour, I can make it, but until unless you cross the line, it is not done. So execution is very, very important. That is what I was. That's my learning again. I used to say for others, now it's time to practice. Thank you. Any other questions?
One question on light. How do you manage lighting?
So lighting, I have this rechargeable one, and the other one is macro. So one is the backup for me for the other one. So rechargeable, I had 20,000 mAh power bank. Only 2 days I charge because there is sunlight till 9:30 in the day. Because it's summer, right, and you have daylight. So 9:30 you don't switch on the light. It's only 6 or 7 hours that you want to switch on the light. So one charge would run for 2 days. I had a 16 lumen, 1600 lumen one, and that has a 5000 mAh battery. So it lasted for 2 days. One charge lasted for 2 days. In fact, even charging phone and the lights, I didn't use a second power bank. There was no need for me. And macro, if this failed, the other one was always as a backup. Had extra batteries that I could use. As I said, 6 o'clock or 5:30 you would have sunlight, and 9:30 till 9:30 you have daylight also. So you could manage.
Between LEL and PBP, which is the one ride which you enjoyed the most and why?
I would say both are two distinct rides. Because there, LEL, of course, the CPs are very good there because you get to sleep, you get to eat everything because everything is included in your fee that you pay. And the crowd is less there. Just 1,700 riders, but still there, across the ride, you would get different people, you meet them. And you don't find this kind of support on the road. So that is different. They are a bit challenging one because there are a lot of climbs as well there. And quite scenic also because you go to Scotland, different weather, different conditions. So it's two different things to compare. But I enjoyed both. PBP is because of the crowd, right? No matter how late you are, you find another person coming behind you. Like it's alphabetically started, right? So and then every 15 minutes one batch starts. I mean, any point of time, even when I was late, I could see another 10 people riding along with me. Or you can join them, but again, depends on your fitness. Somebody, if you practice like Vipin, you can join some pelotons and keep going there. Some people say, I've heard a few in a PR saying that join the peloton and ride, but it is very difficult unless you know the hand signs or other things. It's difficult to do. But yeah, you'll find pelotons in both events. You can ride as long as you can and then come away and then enjoy. The routes are different. You enjoy both the rides, I would say. One thing that we should be aware of is the roads are not as smooth as here. Literally, these are butter smooth roads compared to the other one there. They're a bit rough. And if you ride an average of 23 here, then you can consider 20, 21 there. If your speed reduces, then you have more effort. You'll have to put some more effort there.
ನೀವು ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಕೆಲವೊಂದಷ್ಟು ಅಡಿಕೆ ಚೀಲಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕಾ ಅಂತ ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದಷ್ಟು ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಲ್ಲ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಎರಡನೇದು ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಏನಾರೋ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ತಿನ್ನಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸೊ ಯು ಗೈಸ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ನೀಡೆಡ್ ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಟು ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ವಿತ್ ಯು
Two things, right? One, you got bombarded with so much of information about CPs saying that it is too crowded, you don't get veg food and all. It becomes challenging sometimes. Even the non-veg that you get if you eat, it's not like you would love to eat that, right? Even if you're a non-vegetarian, you would stick to veg food. That's how it is. And yeah, it is crowded as compared to earlier, but you can have that food. So we carried more, to be honest. And most of the things were lying in my drop bag itself. But I had a separate bag where I had kept a lot of eateries. What it helped me was, given my condition, I had to take more rest, and I used to plan the rest. So I used to stop at the CP and eat the food. And I never entered inside the cafeteria of the CP. So outside in the lawn, I used to eat, rest there, and then start my ride. So it helps. And you're uncertain of what you would get to eat in whatever they offer is, right? So out of their love for cyclists, they are offering food. And it might be a snack or a biscuit or a cookie. So that won't fill you. So it's uncertain. So it's good to carry, but you should know how much. Again, you can't estimate how much I will need. So more the better, because no harm in getting it back. But if you feel short of it, then you'll find it difficult.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
It is the scenery. For you, it may be the company. So we hear that you were riding with two foreign female cyclists, which motivated you to do. So please give us some information.
I think the guys have covered pretty much everything, okay? I was telling this to the larger VR team. If you like cycling and if you like company and if there's an escape to spend time with your buddies, yeah, this is one of them. LDL is another one, and there are like few other rides. Just add this as part of your must-do list. Yeah, that's number one. As Santosh was saying, you may want to ride, you may want to volunteer, but there are reasons are aplenty, right? Foreign land, you have time with your friends, you get a chance to ride, you experience the culture, the local food, the local transportation. Reasons are like countless. So just add either LDL or PBP as part of your list. That's number one. The second one is, whatever I tell you about the preparation, about what you need to carry, what you don't need to carry, I think it's 2 years for LEL and 4 years for PBP. I don't think you will take back anything. It won't register, so there is enough and more material, so I'll save that list for now. So when you decide to go for the trek, probably we can discuss about those learnings, about your bike, about the things to carry, etc. But what I want to tell you is like maybe 3 or 4 things. One is you like cycling, you want to challenge yourself, then you start investing on strength and conditioning. Yeah, I have my coach here. She has made me better. There are no two ways about it, right? After LEL, of course, I did, though I took a lot of time, it took me some time to recover. But after PBP, like we were drinking after my ride, and next 3 days we were partying. Absolutely no I mean, I did not spend any time for recovery. So strength and conditioning and I mean, of course, exercising and making your body go through the churn, it's always helpful. So first lesson is, of course, invest on essentials. The second one is, there are different goals, right? For me, it's not about completion, it's about the experience. Yeah, and I, as a person, I love to enjoy riding with friends. So if you look at all my brevets, I've not done a single brevet alone. It has always been with my company. And they used to come and give me a kick on my backside to wake me up and then ride. Otherwise, as a person, I generally slow down. Even if I walk, I see Shruti or somebody dragging me, saying, why are you so slow? Or even if I'm on a ride, people tell me, boss, we are losing time. I generally slow down because that's what I do. I enjoy the time out, with the bike. So if you want, coming back to the goals, right? If you really want to complete PBP on time and do that as part of your checklist, you need to subject your body to a lot of similar rides. Do a lot of elevation, try and do 100 within 4 hours, 200 within maybe 10 or 11 hours, 300 within 15, 400 within 24, so that you build that endurance, right? That's the second one. The third one is, of course, your general purpose, as I said. The purpose for me is, of course, as I said, local culture, food, the transportation, the people, etc., and the company. If you are actually going to enjoy all that, and if you are registered for a long ride like PBP, you better start improving your FTP, your cadence and your power. Otherwise you will lose a lot of time, right? So again, just to repeat, the first one is of course try and don't read too many things now, it's too far out. When you actually decide to do the ride, start reading all those things and prepare your bike. Second one is invest in your strength and conditioning, because that's going to take you a long way. Third one is really try and improve your FTPs as well as cadence and power, because if you are someone who spends a lot of time, you're going to either be late or not complete. So these are the reflections. Now, we have spoken about the food, the people, the culture. Whatever, words won't do justice. Seriously, words won't do justice. The most beautiful part was riding through these small towns of France, and many of them I had not even heard of. So France is not about Paris. It's about these small, tiny hamlets, villages, which is so welcoming. And every corner you just feel like standing and taking a picture. You have these beautiful old medieval chapels, castles, the paved roads, friendly people cheering you all the time. That's something I want to go back to. Yeah, you don't get to experience this anywhere. In LEL, though we had the road going through some of these beautiful towns and villages, the people element was missing. Yeah, the people element was missing. That was a major difference between France and London. And as I said, at the cost of being a broken gramophone record, you don't get to experience that anywhere. Not in India, not in France, maybe in Netherlands, but in Netherlands everybody else rides, so there is nobody to come and cheer for you. So yeah, France is extremely different, so please add this as part of your list. Yeah, technicalities, light, drink, what to carry, what not to carry, don't bother. If you work on your fitness, work on your endurance, and make up your mind as to what is your purpose. If you want to finish on time or just enjoy it as far as you can choose either of them. This is what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Sidhu.
One question. You are very veteran, but what happened to you? Food? Did you have something different food you tried so that you felt sick, right? Because I think you had a lot of vomitings and this.
See, I obviously the gut gave away. I don't know. The reasons can be different, right? I had, water, the toilet water, probably that is the reason. And the medication didn't help. Toilet water. Yeah, you go to the toilet, fill in your water bottle and start drinking. So, your toilet water. Probably that led to an issue. And another thing, right? See, mind plays a big role in all these rides. And my purpose was to go and experience that first. So if I had made up my mind that I had to finish it on time, probably I would have done something different. And another thing that I spoke about is my company, right? I mean, I was riding with BP and his knee gave away and he said, I'm not riding. Then I heard that Sai is like not riding. It plays on your mind, especially for someone, I mean, like me, who always wants to ride with people. So your buddy is like not riding, it plays on your mind. And of course, Santosh dropped out on the very first day. It was like too much of a psychological churn. I mean, if I just wanted to complete it, then I mean, after I started thinking, okay, that these guys were backing out, my gut gave away, I started taking loop brakes. In one instance, I had like 2 basins full of my puke. It was that bad. And I had no energy left. And when I had no energy left, obviously I was resorting to that mode of slowing myself down, and I just slowed down. That pretty much was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Sidhu,